My thinking is that before you come to this earth, you make like a contract with yourself, with your spiritual body, and then you go into the world and then you have opportunities to fulfill that contract, and then there are two trees here. There's a maple tree and a juniper tree, and those are my two daughters' names, so it's an ode to them. She's a preschool teacher, and her first year as a teacher, there was a book in her classroom, and the book was called Maple. And she told me that name, and I was like, that's the coolest name I've ever heard of. So, we like nature, we like hiking, and then we already had one tree name, so we started looking at others, and so that's how we came up with Juniper. And then I was kind of mentioning it earlier, but there's a lot of juniper trees in Sedona, and we've been to Sedona a few times for hiking, and it's kind of a special spiritual place for us. So in Sedona, there's spiritual vortexes, which are supposed to have a lot of energy, and in those vortexes, the juniper trees, the trunks will spiral, and that only happens in those vortexes. So
how do you perceive this spirituality?
My own spirituality?
Yeah,
like
how do you perceive this spirituality?
I see myself as I view myself as a spiritual person, more spiritual than religion, and I kind of go along the same lines of what you said. I think we're all kind of energy and connected from energy, and I kind of see that's how everybody's connected, and that's kind of how I view like spirituality and religion. My thinking is that before you come to this earth, you make like a contract with yourself, with your spiritual body, and then you go into the world and then you have opportunities to fulfill that contract, and then I think maybe you're pulled in certain directions by decisions you made before, but I don't know. I don't know if I would call it destiny or not. I'm not sure.
I'm super amazed by just that mere concept that you have of that contract, because I love it, because it kind of goes with this follow-up question, which is, do you think there's a purpose for our own lives? Which is, I think, something similar to what you were thinking
Similar.
about.
I've thought about this a lot. I believe the purpose of life is for growth, for expansion. I think you're put on this earth and you're trying to learn, you're trying to grow, trying to expand your mind, and you're hoping when you're done on earth, you go back to your former spiritual self. You're like, hey, how'd I do? Did I get better? Did I grow? Or did I go down? Did I not do so good? Did I not grow? And you're like, oh, darn. And then you try again, and you keep trying to grow and you keep trying to grow. And in my head, it makes sense, like, because the Big Bang, the universe is constantly expanding. So in my head, that all ties together.
We're always expanding. That's true. That's very true. I mean, I believe that as well.
Yeah.
I kind of agree even more with the idea that you're having, because at the end of the day, what's the purpose of us living if we're not capable of, trying new things and learning new things at the same time?
Yeah, because if you're growing, if you're helping yourself, that's not putting anybody else down. That's only going to help lift up people around you and people are close to you. So
and the most beautiful part is that, like, it's only you that kind of really matters. Like, if somebody else isn't growing with you, you got to let them be.
Yeah.
And you got to grow by yourself.
Yeah.
But that's where the beauty comes in. Like, if you're focusing on growing, then others will join you in that growth at the same time.
I view it as, I have two young, beautiful daughters, and I want to be a role model for them. And I think that goes into my decision making a lot more than I would have thought prior to having kids. So I'm always very conscious, like, they're watching me every time I do anything, and I want to lead by example versus just telling them, don't do this, don't do that. And they're like, well, you do this and you do that. And then I'm like, no, don't do that. So I think that is like in the forefront of my mind right now, being a dad to two young girls. So that kind of strives me to be a better person and make the correct decisions. I did a 50-miler and one that was 100 kilometers, so 62 and a half miles. It took me 11 hours and 7 minutes.
Running 11 hours?
In 7 minutes, yeah.
You can't run for that much.
I did.
How is that possible?
It's you run slow and you eat while you run, and I don't know, you just keep going.
You eat while you run?
Yeah,
like
bars, protein shakes.
Protein bar?
I was chugging Mountain Dew. I had a beer while I was running.
To keep you in the game.
Yeah, because you get so you're so calorie deficient. You crave certain things. But yeah, it was 62 and a half miles.
So you crave beer while you're running, or what do you mean? Is it because it's calorie filled?
You know, I probably shouldn't have drank the beer. It was at one of the rest stops, and my wife was there, and I was in such a good mood. I was like, yeah, I'll chug a beer. It was more like that. I probably regret doing that, but it was kind of like a fun moment. And
no, it's a great story.
Exactly, it's a good story.
What's your mindset on just continuously running?
That's a good question. I guess it's different at different points of the race. Like early on, probably the first 15 miles, I was running with a group of 4 people, and we were like talking. The last 15 miles, all you're thinking about is one foot after the other. You're very focused on the now. Honestly, it's like a very human experience. You become very present. You're not stressing about work. You're not stressing about what you're doing 3 steps from now. You're like literally one foot in front of the other because you're hurting so bad, and it's very centering. It was a very centering experience.
You would say good life advice?
Travel early, travel when you can. At a young age, it's hard to travel as you get older, and if you have kids, I'd say travel, see the world, meet new people and new ways of thinking. It's only going to help you grow. So I think traveling at a young age would be my advice when you can.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do love that. So, but why traveling?
Because you meet different people, you meet different ways of thinking, you meet new normals, which, you grow up in your life, if you just stay in your neighborhood, you're like, this is normal, and then you get to an age and you're like, this is normal. If anyone else is doing something different, they're wrong. But I feel like when you're younger, you're a lot more malleable, and then you see that there's not necessarily a normal in different parts of the world.
That there's different ways of living.
Yeah, exactly. So I always think that's so cool. Like, we went on our honeymoon to Bali, and it's on the other side of the world, and we went there, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, everyone over there is Hindu, and everybody over there rides scooters, and there'll be like a family of 5 on a scooter, and I'm like, this seems so dangerous, but it's just normal over there, and I don't know, I just found it so fascinating.
Yeah, no, totally, I get that a lot. Because, the same thing, I saw a bunch of people like on one scooter, and
yes.
like five kids on one scooter.
Oh my
and you're
God.
Like, that is not safe at all.
Be careful. Cuidado.
I think this is a perfect podcast.
Cool.
And this is a perfect way to end this conversation. Oh, look, it's 32 seconds off. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. It was fun.